y'all. Welcome back to Faithbook Friday. I wanted to kind of do a quick recap from last week because if you were with me, you know, we talked about the verse, be still and know that I am God. And I did add some verses in your printables, just some images that I really found important to me. And if you're looking for images to put in your journal, you can always Google a Bible verse and then click the word images at the top, and it'll give you lots of pictures related to the verses you're Googling. That's how I find most of my printables. But I did go back and ink around the outsides of these cards. We'd written the verses on the inside, but just a reminder to me about being still to know who God is. Now today I want us to kind of transition into this childlike thing that I've been talking about, some lessons that I have learned from working with children for many, many, many years, from my own grandchildren in most recent years. Just what does it mean to be childlike? How can we be useful for the kingdom when we are childlike? And I want us to look at Matthew chapter 18. At that time, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Who then is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" Now, let me just pause here to say, I have a feeling that when these grown-up men asked this question, their egos were probably thinking Jesus would point to one of them because they had been working with him, they had been helping him, they had been learning things. And I mean, I really think they probably thought it was one of them. Jesus, called a little child to him and placed the child among them. And he said, "Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever takes the lowly position of this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven, and whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me." Wow, Jesus gave them a lot to think about. And me as well. When I started looking at this, in light of all the things that I've been thinking about over the last few months, I thought, well, what does it even mean to be childlike? So in your printables today, you're going to find this. This is Matthew 18, 2 and 3. It just has the little children on there, and I thought that was a really cute printable. So I'm going to go ahead and tape this down. And you can print these, or you can not. You can print your own children, whatever. I just felt like this was a cute little printable with all these little children. And I did the acronym childlike. So what does it mean to be childlike? Well, I want us just to outline a few characteristics that are common in children. One of those is compassion. I'm going to put compassionate. I don't know if you've ever noticed or not, but children are pretty compassionate. When they see someone crying, a lot of times they'll go over and check on them. As adults, sometimes we're a little bit more hesitant to do that kind of thing. Children are typically humble. They'll be the first to tell you, "I can't do that," or "I'm not big enough." We don't do that. We hide those things. Children have an innocence about them. They are innocent. And man, sometimes I wish we could recapture that in adulthood. I wish we could protect that in our children as well. In the times in which we live, innocence is not lasting very long. Children are typically loving. They are dependent. They are loyal. And I'm going to put trusting in with that. It's interesting to me because I have taught several children who have been through very, very difficult circumstances, but they still trust their parents and they are still very loyal to their parents despite what their parents have done in their lives. For the second I want to use a long word, investigative. They like to investigate things, and in with that, they are full of wonder. And that's something that I absolutely love about children. You can show them things and they get so excited about the smallest thing. Children are often very kind, and they are often encouraging. I think my little granddaughter thinks that I can do pretty much anything. And sometimes I'll say, "Well, Mom, I can't do that." And she'll say, "Yes, you can." She just thinks I know how to do everything. And that's exciting to me. I'm glad she feels that way about me. So these are just some words that I feel like will lead us to become more childlike. Now, in contrast to that, let me say that we're not talking about being childish. There are grown-ups who are very childish, but not childlike. Characteristics of being childish would be thoughtless, selfish, very immature, wanting to have your own way. Those are childish characteristics. Those are not the characteristics that Jesus was highlighting or encouraging when he said that we should become like little children. He was encouraging these things right here that would cause us to love other people, to be dependent on God for everything in our lives. Those are the characteristics he was really highlighting. Now, I'm going to cut this off and ink it a little bit. I usually just do this off camera, but for some of you who have not done any inking before, I just want to give you a quick show of it. Now, it doesn't matter really what kinds of inks you use. I'm using Memento and a little ink brush here. This is something that Creative Memories has just started breaking into lately. So I've got a few of them and I thought I would use them. I'm not big on inking because I tend to make a big mess with it usually. But I think I'm getting a little bit better. And I chose some blues because of the blues in the pictures. Because blue is my favorite color. And because this is going to go across from that page where we did Be Still and Know. And I just felt like it would be prettier if it all kind of has the same color scheme. Now this paper that I used on the background is still some from the Keep the Faith collection. And it's got the crosses all over it. And I just really liked that paper. So I've got that. It just kind of tones all that white down just a little bit. And I'm going to add this on. But then I want us to read just a couple more passages in the Bible. And over the next few weeks, we will be exploring some of these characteristics. Now, I can't say that we'll do all of them like we did the fruit of the Spirit. But we will be exploring some of these characteristics. How we can develop those. How we see those in people in the Bible. Just different things related to these characteristics. So let's look in Matthew 19. Just flipping the page pretty much. 19 and verse 13. This is another passage about Jesus and children, which I love. Then people brought little children to Jesus for him to place his hands on them and pray for them. But the disciples rebuked them. Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these." When he had placed his hands on them, he went on from there. Again, another passage just to let us know that children had value in Jesus' eyes. They were not considered lower class, second class, anything like that, because Jesus felt like they were very valuable. Perhaps because we can learn a lot of lessons from children. And then in Mark, right after Matthew, we've got Mark chapter 10. And looking at 13 through 16. This is the same account, just a little bit more. People were bringing little children to Jesus for him to place his hands on them, but the disciples rebuked them. When Jesus saw this, he was indignant. He didn't just say calmly to them. He was indignant. He said to them, "Let the little children come to me and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these. Truly, I tell you, anyone who will not receive the kingdom of God like a little child will never enter it." And he took the children in his arms, placed his hands on them, and blessed them. I love these two passages because they remind us we have got to become like little children in order to be beneficial in the kingdom of God. We have got to look deep inside and find a lot of these characteristics and display them to the world around us so that we can be useful in the kingdom. So I hope you'll reflect on that. I know this was a really short lesson this week, but we'll be getting into some more meat of these things over the coming weeks. So stay with me. I'm sure you're going to hear some stories based on my experiences with children, with my grandchildren, things that I am learning from being with these kids. But I hope you'll be with me next time as we start exploring some of these childlike characteristics. And remember that every page tells his story.